So the article came out in Triathlete magazine, and the article said, "What does it take to go to Kona in the fastest age group in the world?" No, it said, "What's the slowest time?" No, what's the slowest that you can go and make it to the world championships in the fastest age group on the planet? So I'm reading it. It sounds familiar. And I'm reading it, and it says that it's 10 hours and 5 minutes or whatever it was. I'm like, well, that's pretty close to my
I
time.
think that was my time.
And so I'm reading, and it said Florianopolis. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. My qualifying time in Florianopolis, Brazil, which is like the Hawaii of Brazil, was the slowest time in the world that made it to the World Championship.
Oh, shit.
Donald Trump here. We ran right over Nikki Haley. Sleepy Joe, wakey, wakey. We're coming for you next. But I'm here to endorse the Shoot to Hunt podcast. It's the best. Just ask the people, look at the people, the beautiful peoples. Give it up for Jake, the bearded giant, and Ryan, the elk slayer.
That was short and sweet. He needs to drop the music down a tad.
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
Man, I don't know if I've ever been on a podcast with that shot of
Nice.
The bar is high right now. So I hope I can live up to that interview.
It was expensive to have Donald Trump do that for us.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Well, he's got 400 million to.
Oh yeah, 464 fucking million.
Yep. The bar's not that high, Mark. We had lampers on. So
We're
good.
I mean, that's why you guys that's why you had to bring me on to kind of regroup after that probably debacle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that recognize the voice, we have Mark Liveasay, Treeline Academy. And is your llama wrangling? Do you have a name for that, or does that fall under the Treeline Academy group?
Well, so when I first moved here, I kind of went with this. My idea was this Treeline Pursuits was my mission at first. And then, when I started developing this educational platform, everybody says, man, dude, I love the tree line. You should keep that same theme and just expand on it. So that's kind of how Treeline Academy was born, kind of as an extension of Treeline Pursuits. So I just this year, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I just this last year consolidated everything now that all my offerings, my podcasts, all my courses, my llama rentals, all the things I kind of do, all my YouTube stuff, what little bit I do, is all at treelineacademy.net now. So I've kind of got one central place where you can kind of do it all, so it's not so disjointed like it was. So yeah, it was a good move.
Nice.
So before we get into your little origin story, you have an e-scouting, you have llama rentals, you have how to pack with llamas, you have bears e-scouting. Am I missing anything in your online categories, classes?
No, I've got toolkits which you have had trouble using. Yeah, you're the first person that has ever said to me, of the thousands of members that I have, Ryan, that have said, I can't get the snow layers to work.
Doesn't surprise me.
I'm a fucking troubleshooter.
And the thing about those snow
troublemaker,
what's funny about it, they're not even those are linked files. They're linked to the NOA, the snow level site directly. Yeah. And they don't even work.
What's weird is I fire the fire ones, have no problem. I can pretty much use all of the historic fires, recent fire, all that, except for when I hit.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's the thing I wanted the most. I told you where I wanted to go, and I'd never been there.
Well, right now, that's the hot topic, right? So I have an e-scouting elk course, which you have completed about 17% of. And it's about 45 hours ish long. So it's not, it's not something that you can do like in a day or two. It's a pretty deep dive into e-scouting and hunt planning. And then I've got these toolkits, and then I've got several bear resources, but our bear course that I'm actually working with lampers on. And you know how the problem with lampers is the dude will not stop hunting. at all. So
I know
we're
somebody
supposed
like
to
that.
do all this. Gene, we're supposed to do all this recording and do all this stuff. And he's like, well, I'm going to go to Canada for 2 weeks to wolf hunt. So now he's up there doing that. And so anyway, he's hard to pin down, but we are working on it and it's getting closer. But it's going to be, guys, it is the end all to bear hunting. I mean, I'm not just saying, I mean, I put 3 years of work into this. And there's probably not one aspect of Western bear hunting that I have not researched. That I've read every article, every publication, every research document that I can find. And we have put together, it's 50 modules. So it's going to be about somewhere between 40 and 60 hours of content.
For fucking bear hunting.
For bear hunting. It'll be the Bible of bear hunting. I can guarantee it.
Well, you better put the baiting part in there.
Well, that's where you come in. See, the one thing about me, like I always joke and tell everyone, my favorite subject is one I know nothing about. But in reality, we talked about this last week, Ryan, is I don't like to do things and I don't like to get involved in things that I do not feel like I'm got something to contribute. And that's why my e-scouting elk course is e-scouting elk. It's not how to hunt elk. It's not how to kill 400-inch bulls. It's not any of that. There's a little bit of tactics in there that I put in just because they relate to e-scouting. But in general, you've taken some of it. It's really the technology to how to plan a hunt and how to find areas that are likely to hold elk. That's really the whole intent. And I feel like in that realm, I'm pretty good. I mean, I'm got to be one of the best, I think, at that. I come from Missouri. I spent 25 years coming west to hunt elk. I had to get good out of necessity, not because of if I'm good at it, it's because I failed so many times to get to where I finally started finding elk on a regular basis and started kind of figuring out what were the commonalities between all these places I've been. And so it ended up coming down to 12 principles, really. And so that's really what I based that course on. Now, the bear one is totally different because it's got a lot of the e-scouting and hunt planning that goes with bears. But one of the reasons I partnered with Ryan is, Ryan is a bear killing machine. And that dude has forgotten more about bear hunting than most people know about bear hunting. And so he is a tactical and strategy wise, he's just an incredible resource. I hate to even give him that much credit. He's a really, really good bear hunter. And so the strategy and the gear and all that stuff is going to be so good because of him. And I'm hoping that I can get you involved on the baiting side because I know you have a lot of experience in it. And I've done it some, but I certainly am not an expert. And so I want to bring in some experts in that area, even fall bear hunting. Ryan has a lot of experience in the fall, but I'm going to also seek out a little bit of fall expertise as well, because I don't hunt bears in the fall. I'm chasing elk and deer. I mean, bears are forgotten long after June 15th. I don't even think about bears again until spring, right? Now, I've killed a lot of bears in the fall, but they're accidental bears. You're sitting there elk hunting and a bear rolls by and you got a tag still or whatever. So, yeah, that's it. And then the llamas, I love llamas. And actually now I'm kind of getting into some goats now, kind of by force with Ryan having goats. And,
Yeah.
he's got your goats, which actually were his goats, which became your goats, which are now full circle and back with Ryan again, the way I understand it, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It was and I felt bad because he gave me the goats and then
you charged him.
No, I didn't. I almost did, and then I was like, because I didn't think about it. I didn't think about the full circle thing. And he actually doesn't technically have any of the goats he gave me, but the goats that I had, I sold some to some of the people that he knew, and the one that he took, the best goat that I had, or me and my buddy Kelly had, his name's Jupiter, but he's a pain in the ass. And I was like, I should charge. But then I was like, fuck, he gave me the other goat, so I can't really charge him. That'd be straight asshole Mormon move. So I didn't.
Well, so have you heard about Jupiter lately?
He said he's coming around.
Yeah. So I guess Lambert's out there loving on him like every day. Right. And, so he like lets him walk by him and he kind of brushes him and kind of feels him. And I mean, I know at your house, he was probably neglected, but, I guess Ryan Ryan's had some kind of bonding experience with Jupiter, and
He's got a little Muslim
so
in
he
him.
told when he told me originally, he goes, "Jupiter's he's got to go. Jupiter is not going to make the cut." I said, "Really?" I said, "Now, Ryan," I said, "I've had a lot of llamas like that." I said, "They just need to be handled more." And I said, "Maybe," I said, "but I wouldn't give up on him just yet." And we talked about it. So anyway, he's been working with him, and I guess now he says, "Oh man, Jupiter's going to be amazing."
Jupiter. So they weren't at my house or my buddy Kelly's house, and they're on a big like pasture, so they weren't like fucked with every day. So he was always a little gun shy, and the more and longer it went where there wasn't a lot of human contact, he became more and more gun shy. But the problem was the dude's an absolute stud in the woods.
That's what Ryan said.
Like he doesn't look it, dude. He kind of reminds me of myself, short, kind of chubby, but just keeps fucking going. The guy has no fucking quit. And like I told Ryan, I was like, he's a hard son of a bitch to catch. I said, but when you put a pack on him, I put 40, 50, even 60 pounds one time coming out, and he was a rock star, but he's hard to catch. Yeah. But I knew Ryan was the guy, and his daughter's probably out there loving on him every day. He would kind of make the connection with him, and he sounds like he has.
No, they're doing great. And so we're going to do this big experiment. We're supposed to start doing a podcast series here on this where it's going to be the llamas versus goats. And, you know, and I'm just going to be upfront. I love my llamas, but guys, they're working. They're not pets. I use them for a purpose, and I'm open-minded enough that I want the best animal for the best job. Right. And, I'm half excited about these because there are places where we bear hunt particularly that the llamas just struggle a little because of the rocks and the steepness, and you can't let them loose. So you have to lead them. And so leading him up through a crevice or a pass, they could kind of do it. But when you can let a goat go loose and he can find his own way and they're sure-footed anyway, it's like they're a dream for bear country. And but I've got to get used to them kind of like going inside the tent, breaking the pole off. Like one of them broke Ryan's center pole off. Going in there, messing up your sleeping bags. So llamas don't do that kind of stuff. So the goats are more in your face. So anyway, we're going to do some experimenting. We're going to hunt together a few times and mix them and see how it goes. And kind of looking forward to that, to be honest.
You know, did you tell him about the pannier bags?
Yeah. Wait, I asked why. I talked to him. We were making one, and we're going to send him.
I got to tell you, he sent me a fucking video. He sent me a full video of the prototype.
We're making a pannier bag. We're going to send you to test.
Yes.
For llamas?
Yeah.
It's going to be llamas and goats.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Llamas and goats.
Yeah. So we have a guy that has llamas here. We have you, and then I don't want to get into the other part of it because of what recent events from you. But anyways, we're going to send it to you to test.
Well, he sounds like he's the right guy. Because if they're going to do goats and llamas, we're going to do both.
So we'll have two different sizes. I already talked to Lampers about the minier, the one for the goats. But before we get on that, having experience, I've used the llamas and used the goats. To me, where goats shine is when you're busting deadfall, when you're going through the shit. Llamas shine on fucking trails and pretty much open spaces. But when you get into Northwest, North Idaho, Northwest Montana, some of the shitty stuff you guys hunt in some other place in Idaho, it's the llamas. They're not good up, straight down to where, because you do have to lead them. Then you're also pushing on you and fucking with you to where the goats, you just let them go and they follow you like a dog. And goats they can fucking eat anything and everything. So they don't have any problems with not taking them food. The only time I ever took them food is when there was deep snow and I know they had trouble actually getting to, the fucking grub. But outside of that, long hauls, llamas rock. Dense shit, you're going to see where the goats shine. Dense and steep shit.
Yeah, I'm excited. And I'm blessed on that department. My llamas are really incredible with deadfall. And the very first hunt that Ryan and Brian and I went on, the only reason they invited me, I think, well, I know for a fact, was because I had llamas. And they're like, I know they had the big argument where Brian was saying, yeah, but he's 55. And Ryan said, yeah, but he has goats. I know, but he's old. I don't think he can keep up. Well, but he's got llamas. And so we did 7 river crossings in 17 miles. And it was on a good trail. But when we got there, some weather event had happened over the winter, and it was deadfall freaking city. It was in an old burn, and it had blown everything down. So the night before, we had to cut our way into the trailhead. We had to use the chainsaw. We were the first truck to be in there at all. So we had to get to the campground trailhead / and we had to cut our way into that. So then we did a little hike the night before just to see what the trail was like, and it was terrible. And Ryan's like, "What do you think? Do you think the Llamas?" I said, "I don't know, dude." I said, "We're going." I said, "We're going." And I said, "We'll start off. We got to find a path." I said, "Let's try to keep it knee high." So Brian was out front cutting off all the danger, sharp stuff. And they were handling everything knee high for miles and miles. Well, finally, we packed in 17 miles. So finally, we were in 7 or 8 miles, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And I told Brian, I said, "Hey, let's switch to waist high. They're handling, I think they can do waist high." And I had never tried waist high deadfall for miles and miles. And these llamas are carrying 70, 80 pounds each. And they did, the first day, I think we did 11 miles of absolute deadfall where we couldn't even stay on the trail because the trail was so bad. We had to go off the trail and then come back to the trail, just find our best path. And I thought the next day they'd be wrecked. And we got up the next day, and we only went about less than a mile, and the trail cleared at that point. The storm must have stopped there, whatever. It was smooth sailing from there on. But anyway, they handled it 17 miles, and half of it was unbelievable. So I am lucky that mine are as agile as they are, but they can be problematic in the deadfall. And that's why I'm really excited about the goats. The goats kind of make me nervous, though, sometimes the way they jump up on and cross logs. And
yes,
man, they're risk takers when it comes to how they deal with stuff.
On the deadfall, I don't mean like where the biggest difference is like up and down deadfall. Like goats will actually go under stuff. They'll crawl under stuff.
Yeah,
they'll jump over stuff. I'm talking like when you're traversing like side hill shit with deadfall, like llamas will just flat kill the goats, on a not semi flat, but trail, you're jumping deadfalls that way. Is when I've had llamas, I've noticed that they almost get stuck in their own heads when you come to a thing and you have to be the one that's actually doing all the work, getting them around it, up and down it, to where the fucking goats aren't on a lead and they just figure it out. The only downside is they do get caught up in some stupid shit. Sometimes you have to go pop a stop off to get off their panner or something like that.
Yeah.
But
no, anyway, I'm excited. I think that, to be honest, the way we're hunting nowadays is like we typically are going in, we're setting up a base of operations, and then guys are with the cameraman, they're heading out, and we're kind of hunting, from a central spot. And that's where the goats are going to just be incredible. Yes. We're going to be able to use the llamas to get in with a lot of gear and our rafts and everything we need. And then we can use the goats for these little 2 or 3 day excursions from that central. It's going to be a really interesting test.
It is. That's like truck camping with the llamas. They're the truck. And then you get a little ATV. That's the goat. And you branch out. That'll be interesting.
That's right. That's what it's going to be. And we're going to see how it works. And it's going to open up some doors to some places that we have not really spent a lot of time in because of the llamas. Getting the llamas there has been real rough in certain places, like you said. And but it's going to let us stay. It's going to let us go deeper and stay longer in certain areas. Yeah, it's good stuff.
What I have noticed is the llamas get in shape a whole lot quicker than the goats, but I'm sure lampers will take care of the goats being in shape problem.
Yeah, if they don't get in shape with lampers, they're going to be in big trouble. He walks llamas to death. But he's getting old too now. Let's just not ignore the facts here. He's 50 plus now.
Yeah, he's 50 plus.
He's 50.
Oh shit.
And so we're not. He acts like we're decades apart. And I'm like, dude, we're 7 years apart. Let's just be real here.
Well, make sure you send that video to the Wild Sheep Foundation.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
The goat llama. The goat llama party. They'll have a shitter.
Oh, they. I don't know what the deal is with that, but
yeah,
that's a whole nother podcast.
That is a whole nother podcast. Well, before we crack too far into all that, let's hear your a lot of people that are listening to this don't know who you are. So let's start back where you were, I always, and don't take this wrong, but you always crack me up when you say you were a fucking 100-mile, you ran marathons and you did the fucking Ironman. So let's go through all your.
I know it's hard to believe it, right? I know it's hard for you to believe.
Oh no, I believe it. I've seen the pictures.
There's been a few pictures circulating around at times. And but anyway, so yeah, I'm from Missouri. Like I said, I just wrote an article for Go Hunt when I was talking about it. I was doing a Colorado review, and when I started looking back, I was kind of shocked myself. I didn't realize my first 19 seasons of elk hunting, I traveled from Missouri to Colorado, and I hunted Colorado as an absolute every year. And then I would go to New Mexico or Wyoming whenever I drew the tags, which back then was pretty easy, to be honest. I drew New Mexico multiple times back in the day, which people were like, what? I think I drew it like 5 out of 7 years when I first started hunting. And then so the last tag I had was way back, and I didn't draw. I've been putting in every year, and I didn't draw again until 2 years ago. And it took me 21 years to draw that next tag in New Mexico. So anyway, but I was kind of lucky in a way. When I started elk hunting, tags are easy to get. And so you could hunt Wyoming almost every year. You could hunt Colorado every year for sure. You still can, but the good units, before they started stripping out all of the draw units, even, you could pick up a mule deer tag over the counter. You could buy bear tag over the counter. It was just great times, and I didn't realize how good those times were. And so anyway, I spent the first 19 years in Colorado, coming from Missouri. So this will be my 35th year hunting elk. I missed 2 years in there, and that's really the reason.
Damn, you're old.
Today, I know. Trust me, I know. So, if you know me too, the more you get to know me, you realize like I don't have a dimmer switch. For some reason, my wife always says that. It's like my switch is either on or it's off. There's no, like, same with fitness, same with working out, same with everything. So when I decided, I played rugby, I played college football, I played rugby for 15 years, and a high level rugby. And so I had never done anything like endurance fitness wise. Like I ran track, I ran the 400, the 200 and 100 in college, and obviously high school too. But so all sprint stuff. I was a big dude. I was a football dude, worked out a lot, just a big muscular dude. And all of a sudden I get divorced from my first wife, and I'm like, all right, I need something. I got to turn the switch back on. Well, I decided that triathlon was going to be it. Well, my buddy was going to do a triathlon.
Mark, how old were you at this point when you started?
So that was the other thing. I was 30. I was 33, I think. So if you know anything about triathlons, 33 is the badasses of the badass in triathlon. So as an endurance athlete, you kind of reach your prime about that 28 to 35 range you're at the pinnacle of endurance sports. Now, sprinters are usually 18. That's why you see a lot of college, real early, college, and then just a few years after college, you see all the best sprinters. But endurance, the best marathoners and the best Ironman triathletes and whatever, they're all roughly in that range. Now, there's some exceptions, but usually that's the range.
Mark, is that because of the mental aspect of it?
Well, it could be, but I think it's just a physiological. That's when your body peaks physically for endurance. Like the 100-mile guys, a lot of these really great 100-milers, 200-milers, these ultra marathon dudes, they're all 40-ish. They're all 35, 40 years old, and maybe a little younger than that. But they're just exceptional at that age range. So anyway, I started doing triathlon at the height of the competitive class. So obviously when I first started, I was not very good. I mean, I was a big dude. I weighed 235, roughly ish when I started, and could bench press 400, but couldn't run 3 miles to save my life. Right. And, and I had never ridden a road bike in my life. and I'd never swam. I could swim to save my life, like in a lake, but swimming like across the pool? No way. So what do? My very first race I signed up for is, of course, I'm like, why would I do anything different? I may as well go start at the top. So I signed up for an Ironman right off the bat.
Fuck.
Your first fucking Ironman?
My first race.
Oh, your first
race.
Triathlons and Ironman.
Race.
Yeah.
Yeah, first one. And so I'm training for it, and I meet Amy about that time, and she's a swimmer, collegiate high school swimmer. So, and I'm telling her that I'm doing this Ironman. She says, "You're what?" I'm like, yeah, I'm training right now. She goes, "Well, I'm a pretty good swimmer." She goes, "You want me to take a look at your stroke?" I'm like, "Sure." I said, that
Nice.
sounds good. So she goes, we roll into the pool, and it's a 25-yard pool too. Keep that in mind. It's a short pool. So she says, "Well, once you go down and back, let me see what you got." So I swim about halfway across 25-yard pool. I stand up, I get my breath, I take off again. I get to the other side. I do the same thing coming back. I stand up in the middle both ways, right? So I get to and she's just looking at me, and she says, "Okay, now hold on." She goes, "Now, let's back up just a minute." She goes, "Now, when you stood up, is it because you had to or because you wanted?"
Like, do you know that you got to swim 2.5 miles in the fucking competition? Can't get across the pool.
Well, that's exactly what she said. She said, "You know, it's 74 times this pool, right?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well," I said, "I got a couple more months." I said, "I'm good." And she said, "I think you need some professional help." I'm like, "Really?" She goes, You need to go to a coach." And I'm like, "You're not going to make it." She goes, "I mean, you're going to die." I said, "I'm not going to die." I said, "I can swim. I could tread water forever. I'm going to be fine." And she goes, "No, you don't understand. Once that sea of rubber rolls over top of you, it doesn't matter what kind of good swimmer you are, you're going to go down with the ship." And so anyway, I get a coach, and I start swimming. Well, I couldn't do that Ironman. There's no way I was going to make the swim. So I did a relay team with some dudes. And I did the bike, and a dude did the swim, and another guy did the run, and we did really well. But the whole time I felt like a second-class citizen. I'm like, I'm never going to do a relay team again. This is it. So then the next year I signed up for another Ironman, and then I got my swimming down by that point, and I did pretty good. I made it. It was not a speed record.
Hey, Mark, real quick, you went from 235. What did you actually run the Ironman at?
175.
Wow.
Damn,
So
that's a big
still
cut.
big, guys.
Yeah.
That's still big. So I ran the Boston Marathon. When I qualified for the Boston Marathon, I weighed 170-ish, right in that range. And when I did the race, I was 25th, the qualifying race. It was in Chicago, and I was 25th overall. And when I crossed the finish line, the dude comes up to me, he goes, "When did you get in the race?" I'm like, it's been pouring rain. It's 30 degrees. It's pouring rain. I just had the race, my best race ever running. And I was 3 hours flat in the marathon. And I'm I'm 170-ish. And the guy thinks I cheated. I didn't catch on at first, but the guy thinks I jumped in somewhere. And finally, I'm talking to the dude, and it starts to hit me that he thinks I cheated. I'm like, "Dude, I don't know what you're talking about." I said, "I ran with this same group the whole way." And finally, a dude comes behind and finishes. And he comes up to me, he goes, "Dude, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that." I said, he goes, "How do you run like that at that size?" I'm like, and then so he figures out that the guy is accusing me of cheating. He goes, "I've been following this guy for 26 miles. He said, that guy ran every step, dude." So anyway, they let me go. And
this was like an official guy with this race?
Yeah, this was the guy giving out they were recording the top places for the.
Oh, gotcha.
And they were handing out finisher medals.
Gotcha.
And so, and it was pouring. It was terrible weather. And that was actually good for me. The colder weather, as big as I was, it helped my body temperature, keep my body temperature down. But so anyway, I ran a 3-hour marathon at 175 pounds, which is pretty unheard of at the time. And so I feel like I'm pretty good shape. I'm really doing well. I'm about 6 Ironmans in at that point. My wife and I are getting married. We're getting married And I talked her into going to our honeymoon in Brazil. And so I could do the Ironman in Brazil. I always wanted to do that Ironman. And so we went to Brazil, and she said she was going to do the Ironman. And I was like, wow. She was doing triathlons, but she told me she was never going to do the Ironman. She goes, I could never. She watched the pain that I went through in those things. And I've been in the medical tent more times than not. And she's like, I'm not going to do that level. It's just too much. But she decided she wanted to do it. And so we did it together. We trained hard for that race. It was in May, and we get married. We go over there. We do the race. She has an unbelievable race. And her first Ironman ever, right out of the gate, and she's a top 2.
Oh, shit.
And she gets a slot to the World Championships. And so we are jumping around. I'm like, I can't even believe it. I mean, it as a triathlete, to go to Kona, to go to the World Championship is like the pinnacle of all pinnacles. It's like, it's the 400-inch bull. It's the 200-inch mule deer of hunting. It's like, if you're a triathlete, all you ever dream about is going to Kona. It's very, very hard, especially at the 35-year-old age group. So anyway, the story's a little long, but I'll move it along here. And so my wife qualifies, and I'm like, it was incredible. We were so excited. Well, then they get to my age group, and we don't know. This is the next day. You don't know where you finished. I knew I was close, but I didn't know how close. And so I ran a guy down on the red carpet within 50 feet of the finish line. And I saw they have your age on your calf. So I saw he had a 35 on his calf. So I passed him like right at the last second, and I outran him to the finish line. Didn't even think anything about it. Well, I got the slot because of that. So I got a slot.
Oh, shit.
World Championship. So I ended up getting third. And so we both get a slot. We're one of the few husband and wife teams ever to qualify for the World Championships in the same race.
Nice.
So now we both have slots to Kona. We go to Kona and have a terrible race. It was brutal. I mean, that race, that island is just like eat you alive, right? And it was just terrible. And but we made it, and we both finished, and it was awesome. And we, and I went on to do 4 or 5 more after that. And actually, it's funny, Ryan, I think you knew this already, but one of the reasons we moved to Missoula was my last Ironman was in 2007 at Coeur d'Alene. And I loved that country. And one of the reasons we kind of ended up in that area was because of doing that race at Coeur d'Alene. Coeur d'Alene is the only Ironman that I've ever done twice. And so I loved that race. It was not very good for me as a bigger triathlete because it was so hilly, but I just loved the race and the people there. The community loves that race, and they really get after it.
Enhance your shooting experience with STOCKY'S stocks. Are you tired of struggling with mediocre rifle stocks that hinder your performance? Imagine having a high-quality rifle stock that not only enhances your accuracy, but also provides superior strength and a lightweight build. STOCKY'S Stocks offers a wide range of premium rifle stocks manufactured with hand layup carbon fiber construction, a patented carbon fiber AccuBlock, and multiple finish options. Whether you're a long-range shooter or a hunting enthusiast, our stocks are perfect for you. Experience unmatched precision and durability with STOCKY'S stocks. We provide stock installation instructions, technical support, and guidance to help you choose the right stock for your rifle. Upgrade your shooting game today with STOCKY'S stocks.
Yeah, that's a long story, but that's it.
That's an awesome story. And the funny thing is when you told me, I don't even know when I really started talking to you about this, but you said, oh, it's Iron Man. Well, your wife looks like a prototypical woman that would do the Iron Man. And I looked at you, and it's like me saying I did Iron Man. I was like, holy shit, I'm trying to find this picture. I think it's on Brian's of you and your wife, the picture of it. I'm not ignoring you. I was trying to show Jake. I thought he had a picture of you and your wife, like when you were just getting done. Wasn't it on Brian Cole's?
Yeah, he had it. Yeah, it was I look skinny in that picture.
No, you look great. Your wife looks way better, but you look great.
Yeah, my wife, there's no doubt. Well, you're not, I mean, you're in the same boat as me. You certainly married up. And
Tanya had the glaucoma when I married her.
I married out of my league. There's no doubt about it. Not only was she smoking hot, she was 8 years younger than me. And so it was a win on every level.
Yeah, you found her on the swing set.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm gonna show you. You're gonna love this one. Right? I don't know if you've seen this one before, but you're gonna love this one. You can see it on the screen. So let's see if I can get it up here. Right.
Other side. Other side. Other side.
Oh, there we go.
Oh shit! That looks like me with my shirt off. Damn, Mark.
That's that was right before I went to Kona. Right there. That was literally.
Were you required to wear a banana boat?
Oh, so back then, dude.
It's all for speed. He's built for speed.
The Speedos were the thing back then, and we didn't have all the technical garments that we have now, and all the shorts and the great cycling stuff they have now. But so think about, we're racing in a Speedo, right? So if you're going to do an Ironman in a Speedo, guys, you don't just put it on race day.
No,
it's going to be a problem of epic proportions. So I'm around town. I'm known, at that point, there wasn't a lot of triathletes in my community at that point, but I'm riding around town in my white, black leopard skin print. And I had a couple of leopard skins. I had a blue leopard skin, a green, and a white leopard skin print. And I would ride my bike to the winery. We had this big winery that was about 25-mile ride. It was a hardcore ride. It was a great ride. So I'd ride out there. My wife would meet me, and we'd drink wine and get a little bit hammered. And then we'd ride our bikes back.
Get a little bit hammered.
And I'm being in my Speedo the whole time.
You're in the restaurant drinking wine, fucking in a Speedo. Oh, okay.
Hey,
here's a picture. This is a picture of my my wife and I. Let's see if I can get it in there.
Yeah, a little higher, right there.
Man, good God, you guys are tan.
Yeah.
That was what. Well, dude, if you're,
you're like Donald Trump orange.
We trained I averaged probably about 30 hours a week.
Wow.
When I was getting ready for the Ironman, it was a full-time job, guys. It's no.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's two kinds of ways to do an Ironman, right? You can do it to finish. They give you 17 hours. So the average finish time for an Ironman is about 13 and a half hours. And you have a max of 17 hours to get it done. But the winning time, the world record is like 7 hours and 30 minutes.
Shit.
So if you think about that, 2.5 mile swim, 119 mile, and a full marathon in 7.5 hours.
Crazy.
It's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now, I was nowhere near that, but I did do I've done several 10-hour Ironmans, which, so that the last story I'll tell you is the year I went to Kona. I think I'm kind of a badass, right? I'm 35 years old. I'm in the fastest age group on planet Earth in Kona. It's the badass of the bads, and I've got a slot. So after it was all over, and I didn't do that great at Kona, which who cares? I made it. That's the whole point. So the article came out in Triathlete magazine, and the article said, "What does it take to go to Kona in the fastest age group in the world?" No, it said, "What's the slowest time?" No, what's the slowest that you can go and make it to the world championships in the fastest age group on the planet? So I'm reading it. It sounds familiar. And I'm reading it, and it says that it's 10 hours and 5 minutes or whatever it was. I'm like, well, that's pretty close to my time.
I think that was my time.
And so I'm reading, and it said Florianopolis. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. My qualifying time in Florianopolis, Brazil, which is like the Hawaii of Brazil, was the slowest time in the world that made it to the world championship.
Oh, shit.
Did they name you?
No, thank
God, that'd been awesome.
I mean, if you could use a computer at all, you could figure it out. But yes, I had the slowest time in the world, and was written up in Triathlete magazine, but they did not use my name, thank God.
Wow,
hey, you know what? I made it.
So how does one go from doing triathlons to putting on a whole bunch of triathlons?
Well, it's just like this hunting thing too. It's like I told you, my switch is on or it's off, right? So I'm racing. At that point, I'd done 10, 11, maybe 10 or 11 Ironmans. I was kind of at the pinnacle of my career. I was racing fast. I was winning some half Ironmans. I had done over 50 half Ironmans at that point, and I had done probably 20 marathons. I was really doing a lot of racing, and I decided in my infinite wisdom that I should produce races. And so I started producing races. I worked for a nonprofit, so we used the money for the company I worked for, and I built it up so too big. I built it up so big that my company didn't want to do it anymore because it was stressing out all of our staff and all of our nonprofit staff. So I left the company and basically took the event with me and went on my own as an entrepreneur and started producing on my own. Well, just like I told you, I signed up for an Ironman, my first race. Well, when I started producing races, I went from 3 races to 150 races within a few years.
Jesus.
And all of a sudden, guys, I wasn't training anymore. I was working every weekend, every race, all the time. And that brings us to this point in my life is where my wife and I almost got divorced over it because I was working. It was rough on the weekends, gone all the time. I wasn't happy. I missed 2 elk seasons in a row.
Pretty high stress, I imagine.
That's stress. We had an employee die. We had a swimmer die in a race. Very tough. We had a cardiac arrest at another race. I mean, in the event businesses can be brutal. It's just, if you go to a bat enough times, you're going to strike out, and that's just the way it is. And so anyway, I did that, and so finally one day my wife says, "We're done. We're done." She goes, "You're going to sell the business." We owned running stores. We've owned coffee. We owned a bunch of stuff. She goes, "We're going to sell everything off, and we're moving out west so you can hunt, and that's it. You're retired." I'm like, "Okay, sounds good, honey." I didn't think she was serious. She goes, "You got 18 months. Get it done. We're leaving on March 18th.
Jeez.
Oh, okay. I didn't believe her. I mean, we literally we are a hair from being divorced, and that's no exaggeration.
Solely because of the event business.
Well, and just me being a dick. Let's just be honest. I was not the best husband at the time. Did you listen to the podcast?
I did. Yeah, I did. That's like a whole nother topic, but I didn't want to.
Yeah, but that's a soul searcher, right?
Yeah,
and
it is. It's a good podcast.
Not the best. I was not. I mean, as much as I like to tell everyone what a great human I am, I certainly was not at that point. I'm still not, but I was not even close then. But anyway, Amy somehow saw something in me, and she was not letting it go. And we literally were 6 months after she said we're moving, and she comes to me. She goes, "What do you got done?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "We're leaving on March 18th." And she goes, "I don't see anything happening." I'm like, "What are you serious?" She goes, "Yes, I want everything sold." I said, "What if our house doesn't sell?" She goes, "Then we're leaving it." I'm like, "What do you mean we're leaving it?" She goes, "We're going to shut the door, and we're going to get in the car, and we're just going to leave it set." I'm like, "Well, what if the businesses don't sell?" "We're going to lock the door, and we're just going to leave." I'm like, "There's Amy. There's no way." She goes, "That's what we're doing." And sure as shit, she was dead serious. And that's when I realized that she's serious. And so we got everything sold, and we sold our house literally 2 days before that we left.
Wow.
And a guy was driving down the road and saw me putting out the for sale by owner. We didn't even have time to list it. And we were in the middle of construction. The place was a wreck. And they walked in and bought it cash.
Wow.
And it was just like meant to be. And we packed up our stuff in a 24-foot box truck. We sold almost everything we owned except my hunting equipment. And we moved to Montana.
And that was what
That's how
year?
we got here.
What year?
That was 2015.
Oh gosh, nice. Very nice.
That's so my wife now is on me like she said, "Now, honey, do you remember what you did when you did Ironman? Do you remember how you created this empire of event business?" He goes, "Please don't do that with the hunting industry." She goes, This is the one thing that you love above all things. Don't ruin it." And I'm like, "I hear you, honey." So I'm very careful about what I do on the business side in this industry now, right? Like I like to dabble and do a few things. I love it so much, but I want to be careful what I do. So, yeah.
Well, pulling that all the way into the e-scouting side of it is I considered myself and my buddy Jim, even more so than me, Jim Carr. I look at Google Earth a lot, but never in my life did I know there's somebody out there like you that takes it to the next level. Like I probably looked at Google Earth for when did it come out? 2001, 2002, 3? When did it come out?
It was $399 in 2000.
Yeah, because I bought the Pro when it was you had to buy it.
Yeah, I bought the Pro too. Can you believe we paid that?
Now it's free. Anyways,
yeah,
but
exactly.
I did not know about fucking terrain exaggeration until I fucking saw you in your class. Like I've looked at it for that long until you showed me that. But your class is how many hours is just the elk e-scouting? 40 hours? 50 hours?
About 40 to 50.
And
I've added some modules, so it's in the 40-50 range.
And I'm 17% in. And I've looked at the same module. He has this module. What do you call the one where you're fucking doing
zones of pressure?
The zones of it's like I'm stuck there. And then how much, basically your zone of how far you can travel. What do you call that? What do you have?
Parameter.
The hunt parameter. Perimeter. I'm stuck on that because I think I can do more and I don't give, and I always thought it was dumb. I always thought I lived in the West. If I'm going to go hunt it, I'll e-scout the shit out of it, but I want to go look at it. And that is not possible for probably, I don't know how many percent, 50, 60, maybe even 70% of hunters. They can't go look at the place they're going to go to. So your course being the in-depth 500 hours that it is a godsend for people coming out from the east side.
Well, I appreciate that. And like I said, if I'm good at it, it's because I had to get good at it. So of all the things that I've kind of done in my life, which I've done a lot of things, dude. I mean, the story is crazy. I've had such a weird life, right? And of all the things, the one thing that's always been consistent in my life is my absolute passion for Western hunting. I mean, once I came one time, I was freaking hooked. My first Western hunt, my boss, I worked for an organ bank. I was getting ready to go to medical school out of college, and I was working for an organ bank, and I was doing tissue recoveries on cadavers. And I worked there 25 years and kept thinking I was going to go to med school and just never did. And, but anyway, working there, my boss is a big whitetail hunter. And he says one day, he goes, "Hey, we should go elk hunting." I'm like, "Yeah, we should." And we had never even seen an elk in the wild. I've never seen an elk in the wild. I've never been to Colorado. At that point in my life, I never even been there.
What year? What year was this?
God, that was in 1990. That might have been 2 or 3. Let's see, 89. I graduated in 89. I started working there. It had to be 91-ish, 92, somewhere in that range. But anyway, we go out there. You're going to laugh. We took a front-wheel drive minivan. On that first elk hunt.
What state?
Colorado.
Okay.
Colorado, and we went to this place and we lost every hubcap on the minivan, of course. We had so many flat tires. It was unbelievable. We were in where there's a little town. I'm going to say it because it's who cares anymore. By Crested Butte, Colorado. And that was before Crested Butte was big like it is now. And it was like a freaking one gas station town back then. And we spent more time in there getting tires fixed. But we had the best time. And my very first elk, we had not seen an elk yet. We had been hunting for days. We had not seen an elk. We heard one bugle, we thought, but we weren't even sure because we had never heard one bugle before. And I was sitting on a stump and I could see the minivan on the road down below me. I was like a few hundred yards up on the hill, sitting on an old burnt stump. I don't even know what I was doing. I was just hanging out in the woods, right? Just hanging out. And here comes this horse through the woods. I'm like, I thought it was loose. I'm like, what? And it's kind of running. And I'm like, what in the heck? And it was a cow elk. And it never.
I see this horse.
I was the first elk I'd ever seen running from something, right? And so I'll never forget this. So I'm sitting there like a dumbass. I don't stand up. I don't do any. I just sat there frozen. The thing's running, and now it's jogging. It's looking back, and it's got a calf with it. It's got a little calf. And I mean, it's adult calf. It's the fall. It's September, but it's got a calf with it, and it runs up, and it's coming right at me. I don't have an arrow in my bow. I am not. I've done nothing. And at the moment it gets to about, I don't know, 70 or 80 yards from me, I realize that I should start trying to make preparations. And so I somehow get an arrow out and in my bow before it gets to me. And I had stood up and I'm behind this tree. I'm in the open. It's really the only tree of any size. And this elk is walking right to the tree. And I'm behind the tree. And I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, so I drew my bow. Like, at least I did that smart. So I stepped back from the tree and I drew my bow, and that elk walked around that tree about a foot from me.
Mm.
And she walked, and I tried to look. I can't look through my peep. I can't do anything. And she's so close. I had to lean back to keep the broadhead from hitting her in the shoulder.
Wow. Oh, shit.
And when she walked, I just held the bow where I thought and let go. And I hit her too high. She runs down to the minivan, crosses the road right behind the minivan, and goes across the street, across the gravel road. So I'm sitting there going, what the heck just happened? And so I'm then, kind of starts sinking in. I'm like, oh man, I just killed an elk. And so I go down there. There's blood on the road. Everything's looking good. We looked and looked and looked and looked. We couldn't find her. And the next day we go back and we found her the next day, thank goodness, in the morning, and everything was fine. And we packed her out. We got lost packing her out. We didn't have any GPSs at that point, guys. It was all topo maps. And we were not that far from the road, and we're still lost. That's a whole funny story itself. But we are literally lost for hours with we packed the elk out with one trip. It was just a cow, but that's how I got hooked. Dude, from that day, I was hooked on elk hunting.
That's awesome.
And I never missed a year until I missed 2 years and 35 years. So
there's a horse running around.
Why is there a loose horse running around?
Oh my goodness.
That's
dude,
hilarious.
I'm telling you, that's the first, I'll never forget it. It's the first thing that entered my mind. It just, for some reason, now we had seen quite a few outfitters around, but I had not seen an elk in the wild ever until then. And then the next day we got a bull. All we could do was use the hoochie mama thing. We had this little squeeze thing, and we had this bull bugling to it, and my boss almost killed this just really nice bull, came running in, and we were not ready for that either. And so we had the final few days of the hunt, we kind of figured out. But then I went like 3 or 4 years without killing an elk after that. And I'm like, what are we doing wrong? And so I started in on this whole, there's got to be commonalities because we did a good job of marking locations where we would see all these elk, right? And I kind of have a science background. Obviously, I was pre-med. So I said, there's got to be a science behind where these elk want to be and where they don't want to be. And because they're obviously not behind every bush. And so I started putting together these principles, and it took me, took a while, but over 35 years, I feel like I've got them down. I've got it narrowed down to 12. And I feel like those 12 principles that I have in my course are the money makers when it comes to finding out.
Did you, I would have never thought about as much e-scouting as I have done, making a course on it. A, because in my mind, it'd be boring as hell on my end to do. And B, it's like, would people buy it? So what was like the aha moment is, I'm going to make this whole fucking e-scouting program.
Dude. Oh, you're going to particularly love this. So my wife was the one that encouraged. I said, honey, there's just people. I started speaking at Ryan's. So I met Ryan when I got to Missoula. I met Brian and Ryan pretty quick. And I was big fans of those guys. And Brian was just getting started with these podcasts. I'd been listening to him. And I just had gotten llamas. My first year was llamas. And he goes, hey, I want you to come on the podcast and talk about llamas. So I did a podcast with him, and that was my very first podcast I ever did. That's my first time anybody even knew who I was, probably. And he was just getting started.
Is this is this pre Bino harness video? Or
this is about the same time.
Okay. Sorry. Just want to
this is about the same time. I was doing a few fun things. Hey, dude, I moved to Montana, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm retired. I'm used to working, guys. I'm like you guys. I am a serial entrepreneur. I love telling this story. I have never filled out a job application. I have never done a resume in my life. I've never had a job interview in my life. I've only gotten one W-2 in my life.
Oh shit.
I worked for that Oregon bank. I'm right out of college to do to get myself my grades were marginal to get into medical school. I stayed there 25 years. I went on my own. I've just been an entrepreneur my whole life.
That's awesome.
So, I moved to Montana and I'm like losing my mind. Like I'm hunting like a ridiculous number of days. I got nothing to do. I'm used to working 100 hours a week and I'm retired at 50. And I'm like, this is weird. I started having mental issues with it. My wife is like trying to like talk me off the ledge. And so anyway, it goes on for a while and I met Ryan. And so I started speaking at this hunting summit. He invited me to come out. We got to talk about e-scouting. He's like, the same thing. He goes, dude, that's crazy what you're talking about. He goes, why don't you talk about that at the hunting summit? I'm like, sounds good. So I thought, Ryan, I mean, I'm serious. When I walked into that first hunting summit, I'm a little nervous because I'm like, I'm going to say a bunch of things these people already know. I'm going to look like a fool up here. And I started into view shed and terrain exaggeration and all the things that, and everybody's looking at me like I'm a freaking foreigner. And I'm like, all right, okay, let's back up. How many people here, I could tell how weird they're looking at me, right? I'm like, how many people here have topographic map layer on the Google Earth? Nobody. Not a single person not a single one. I'm like, what? I said, really? I said, how many of you guys are using Google Earth? And like 3 people. I'm like, you guys are all using just OnX. That's it. Yeah. We got OnX tattoos. We drink red red Kool-Aid. We are OnX full through and through. I'm like, well, guys, I love OnX too. I mean, but Google Earth's still the king when it comes to imagery and all the things. So anyway, it opened my eyes, right? I realized right then and there that nobody had a clue about some of these tools that I was using.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they were good or not, nobody knew about them. Like Viewshed, I thought everybody knew what Viewshed was. I'm like, it seems so obvious. Nobody knows about it. And I'm like, what is going on? And so anyway, I was telling Amy, she goes, honey, I don't think people have thought about it like you think about it. And these people live out west. They kind of just go out and do their thing. They probably don't think that much about it, and they just know where to go, and they've got places they know have elk, and they just do it, but they don't know why they do it. They just have always done it that way. And so anyway, that's how it started. And so I spent a couple years at Ryan Summits, and I started doing a few videos, doing a few podcasts, and I started putting out some YouTube videos. Dude, I've since taken them down and made them part of the courses because they were 2 and 3 hour long YouTube videos on burns, on beetle kills, all kinds of things, right? So when COVID came was the impetus. When COVID came, I still owned the event business, right? Well, they shut me down. Like we went from 39 employees and 150 races to 0. I was sick. My employees had let all my employees go. Amy and I were okay because we didn't have any debt, thank goodness. But it was terrible, right? They shut down the event business for 1.5 years. So Amy said, honey, this is a perfect time. So you guys could get the theme here that Amy has saved my life like more than once. So she said, honey, this is the perfect time for you to do this course you've been kind of wanting to do. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. This is a good time. So I spent the 1.5 years of COVID shut down working on it. and recording and writing and editing. And I really didn't even know what I was doing. You can if you've suffered through my course, I'm sorry. I think the content is good, but my video production skills were not very good. I am going to revise it this year with new stuff and just give it a facelift. But that's how it got created. Was I had this, now I had even more time on my hands than even had before. And I really loved doing it. And now I've traveled around and spoke at a few places, and I love doing it. I love sharing it. I at first I wasn't sure I wanted to help people be better hunters because I didn't want people in my spots and all the things. But in reality, uh, I love doing it. So now I'm kind of in it, and I'm digging it. So and when I put it out, so you talk about stressful. So I'm a relatively new kid on the block. I mean, compared to Randy Newberg and Troy and Corey Jacobson and all these guys, I'm like a Missouri dude. And here I am claiming to be the e-scouting expert. And I said, I don't know if I spent a year and a half building this thing. I don't know if a single person is going to buy it. Well, I turned it on, and the first day I sold 500 courses.
Wow.
And I'm like, holy cow. I'm like, my wife started calling me. She goes, what is going on with our email account? I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, I am getting dinged like every few seconds. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, I'm out. She goes, I'm at school. She was doing homeschool. She goes, I'm getting receipts from Stripe. Like, I said, oh, really? I said, I turned it on this morning. I didn't even look yet. Right. And so I turned it on, and her email's hooked to the account. So she starts getting all these receipts of all these courses that are selling. And that's how it started. And I loved it. I have had a great time doing it. And I've gotten so many amazing testimonials from guys with their bulls. Some ways it kind of makes me mad, guys. I get guys sending me 375-inch bulls saying that they were right where I said they'd be, and I'm like, well, they're not there for me. I don't get it. Like, so I think my theories work. They're just not working for me all the time for giant bulls. I kill a lot of elk, but some reason these 375-plus-inch bulls are avoiding me. And
yeah, but I think some of those are long stories.
yeah, exactly. But anyway, it's been a great journey, and I've loved doing it. Now I'm on a new mission to revise that same course, add some new content to it, update some of the technology tools that have changed.
Mm-hmm.
I told you I built these toolkits now, and I'm working on the bear one. So I got a few things in the works.
Yeah. So on your Treeline Academy, you guys, you have your llama, how to pack with llamas, correct?
Yeah.
You guys have one.
Go ahead. No, I've just said that course is kind of what it did for us with building that course with Bo Beatty. Is I worked with him and partnered with him on that. Was it really cut down the training curve for people that want to rent llamas and having to come on site for a 3-hour kind of training session. So now they can do the online version. And when they show up to pick them up, it only takes about 30, 45 minutes of hands-on. What do you got going on here with your little vertical?
Well, the battery, here's the problem. The battery died on the other, is going to die on the actual computer. And there's only 2 ports. So we had to pull the camera or not charge it. So fucking, it's
struggling.
We literally pay people for this, and they have fucking failed us.
Hey, you know, when you brought up the elk is a horse story, me and my son were out for our literally very first elk hunt, and we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. And it was, an Onyx kind of last minute put together thing, but we hiked down early in the morning down into this drainage, kind of prairie looking area. And we hear this noise. It was like, a real loud noise over to the right of us. And long story short, I nearly shot a moose thinking it was an elk. So my son thought it was an elk, and he's kind of guided me on it. It wasn't very far away. Is he good?
He's good.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They're trying to deliver a dryer at some point today, and my wife's just
oh shit
late.
Anyways, we almost shot a moose on our first, thinking it was an elk.
Oh, geez.
We hear it grunting over the side. My son spots it. It's like 75 yards away, and I got the rifle drawn, and I turn around this corner, and all I saw was all this black. I was like, well, that's not what I expected the elk to look like, And luckily, I picked my head up out of the scope, and I look, and it's this giant fucking, like if you had a moose tag,
Yeah.
it would have been awesome.
How close were you to shooting it?
Did like a split fucking second.
Oof.
Like a split second away from shooting this fucking moose. And so I bring anyways, we watched this moose for a while, and he was grunting and raking and everything else. And here comes a couple like year-old moose, males with just spikes come down, and they were kind of wrestling around and shit. But that was the first morning of the first hunt I had ever been on with my boy. And yeah, we almost shot a horse. Like that looked a lot more like a horse than a fucking elk would, but yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Man, that's even worse.
It would have been really bad because it was like 2,000 feet straight up going back the other way just to get back to where we had signal, and it would have been a clusterfuck.
It's so funny, like these stories. I had a friend come out hunting with me, and he'd never seen an elk. And the first, I was glassing off one side of this ridge, and he was like 20 yards glassing off the other. And he comes over to me, and he's like, I think I see some camels. And I'm like, there ain't no fucking camels here, bro. So I go and look, and there's a herd of like 7 cow elk. And I was like, well, that's the fuck what we're looking for, man. Those are elk.
Fucking camels. I think I see a camel.
Yeah.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's, and I think that people that live in the West, if they're people that are living here. So let me back up on this course. So when I built this course, my idea was to help Midwest guys.
Mm-hmm.
My whole kind of mission at first was I thought that I was going to be a shining light for all these Midwest guys that dream about coming out West and it's just a little too intimidating, or Midwest guys that have been coming out West for a while and they're just not having that much success. They need just a little bit of help, maybe getting their act together as far as their plan, their strategy, whatever. But when I launched that course, guys, do you know, even today, my number one states of the people that are signing up are not Midwest. I haven't even scratched the surface yet in the Midwest. I think the guys in the Midwest are intimidated by the course, to be honest. And maybe it is too much for a beginner. I don't know. But I'm getting a ton of Montana, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, all the Western states is where my subscribers are coming from. That was so shocking to me. And when I started surveying and talking to the people, these almost exclusively guys that are 5-7 years in to hunting elk, and they've killed maybe 1 or 2, but they just can't consistently find them. They can't. They just can't seem to get into them. They've got the best gear money can buy. They've got time, but they're just not getting into the right places. That is really my audience. I did not expect that. That is not what I expected to see with this, but that's what's happening. And is guys that are just, we all know, I mean, the odds of killing elk are really low with a bow and arrow. With a do-it-yourself, not over the counter, but a do-it-yourself regular elk tag on public land, it's not an easy task, right? It's not. And to do it every single year, year after year after year, like Ryan, is it's almost insurmountable for most dudes. And if you could just take something, here's what I always say, guys. There's only 2 ways to become a better Western hunter. I mean, bears, mule deer, elk, all of it. In my mind, there's only 2 ways. You either have to increase your experience, which is defined by how many days you get to hunt a year. That's it. If you only have 10 days to hunt a year, that's what you got. So you get 10 days to get your experience in. That's it. Or education. You've got to up your education, or you got to increase your experience. Now, you can't control your experience because you only get so many. You got jobs, you got things. So I always give this Lamper scenario, like, well, me too. Ryan and I, you too, Ryan. You guys, maybe both of you, but I get to hunt 100+ days a year. It's pretty incredible, right? I'm blessed beyond belief. Well, for every 10 years, I get 1,000 days of hunting, and the average hunter gets 100. That is, you can never catch up to Ryan. Everybody likes, I want to kill like Ryan. I want to be like Ryan. I want to be Ryan. I want to grow my hair like Ryan. I want to wear the same clothes as Ryan. Right? All the things. I want to be like backcountry Jesus, right? But you can't be like him because you do not have the time in your life to do it yet. Maybe not, maybe you will, but you can't just yet. And even if you did have 100 days, you're still going to have a hard time keeping up with him, with his ability level. So what I'm saying is not to discourage people, but there's another way to maybe not catch up, but level the curve out a little bit, is to increase your education. And what I've seen in the last 35 years of elk hunting has blown my mind. Like when I started hunting, guys, we checked out topographic maps at the library. And then Google Earth came along. Like we said, I paid $399 for it. Then onX came along with the chip that you put in the GPS. I had that. And then they had the apps. I have every app. I've had every app. I've had Go Hunt since the day they opened their doors. I invest in every tool there is, because when I think about elk hunting and bear hunting, I look at it like a toolbox. I want as many tools in my toolbox as I possibly can get in there. Because if you are one dimensional, meaning you only use onX, you've got your onX tattoo, you're only drinking the red Kool-Aid. Guys, onX is great. It's a great tool, but it is a tool, and it's one tool. It's funny how, Ryan, you kept saying earlier, like you kept saying Google Earth. When I went to Google Earth, when I go to Google Earth, I would wager, correct me if I'm wrong, you spend more than 75% of your e-scouting time on Google Earth still to this day.
Oh, I bet you it's 90. Yeah.
Because why?
It has what I want to see. It has more
Because
detail.
it's got the best 3D. It's got the best resolution. It's got historical imagery. It's got the best rotational views. It's got the best clarity. It's got the best cloud-free images. It's got the best freaking snow. What is wrong with onX? The best snow-free images. Right? It's got all the things. Now, what it doesn't have is all of the layers that you need, like fires and cattle allotments and private lands and public lands and topographic maps and all the things. That was the missing link. It only did aerial photos, or it only does aerial photos out of the box. But when you add in this third-party data tools, it becomes as powerful, if not a lot more powerful, than every other hunt application on the market today. Now, the problem is you can't take it with you. This is all pre-hunt work only. And I just think guys are not as successful elk hunting as they could be because they are not willing, capable, or want to put in the time that they need to before the hunt. Do you agree with?
Yeah. Like the number one thing that I figure out on, especially if I'm hunting semi-arid, central Idaho, southern Idaho, more on the Montana side, Wyoming, the desert, is I can find what I do almost every time is I can find what I think is water, and I cannot see it in any other mapping software, and then I'll pin it, and I'm not saying every time, but I bet you 75% of the time when I go there, there's water there, and I would never find it with any other mapping software.
No, and it even gets better. So it's this is a good tip. So if you're listening to this podcast, this is going to be a game changer. If you are hunting in a semi-arid and water is a deal, and water is important to you, and what Google Earth gives you the ability to do, which no other tool can do, no tool. You zoom in on the water, you can actually see it, correct? But what you also can do is page back through history and see if there's water in every year preceding.
Dude, why are you giving these secrets away?
Well, dude, come on. These people are dedicated guys that watch the podcast. We got to give them something they can use.
Yeah. Pretty soon you're going to say, oh, you can also do that with wallows.
Oh.
Well, you can. And I don't want to give that tip away. So how you can tell a wallow from a water hole, from a normal water hole, there's two really easy ways to do it. And I'll save that one for.
Is it in your course? I,
Not in the course. It's going to be in the update. It's in the new
gotcha.
version. It's going to be the new version. So I have spent a lot of time. So since that version came out, I've been studying live aerial images a lot more. And I've been using LiDAR. You guys are familiar with LiDAR, like newest thing,
I'm damn
the
familiar
most
with it.
advanced e-scouting tool probably ever created that's going to change the next game changer, like Google Earth, is LiDAR. And nobody really knows they kind of know what it is, but they don't know how to use it for elk hunting. They don't really know how to apply it yet. They don't really understand what it does. But when they start to put it together and they start to figure out how to use it and apply it for rifle hunters, oh my gosh, for rifle elk hunters, this is probably, I mean, it's literally groundbreaking tool. It is so potentially valuable. But the problem has been that the LiDAR scanned images have not been available to the public at the quality that's necessary until recently. And Spartan Forge, believe it or not, I have no affiliation with them. They need to work on several things on their platform that are not that great. But that LiDAR imagery is freaking money. And what I've noticed is it seems like every time I look at Spartan, it's getting better and better and better. The quality is getting better and better and better. And so if you don't know, I'll real quick, I hate to say things that people don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just going to tell you what LiDAR is real quick. So what it is, it's an image scan. It's a photographic image that's created from scans, meaning it's in a nutshell. Now, guys, do not be sending me emails and tell me I'm wrong on this, because I probably am. I'm just giving you the general idea. These satellites that are orbiting the Earth are equipped with laser measuring devices, basically like a giant rangefinder, so to speak, but incredibly accurate. They scan the Earth at all these angles with these lasers, and it generates this 3D imagery from this. It's called ground scanning. And the reason they fire these lasers from multiple angles is because they're able to remove the tree cover. So when you look at a LiDAR imagery, it's the ground scans of the country minus the tree cover. Guys, it's incredible. You can see every trail. You can see game trails. You can see depressions. You can see wallows with game trails going to them. You can see water holes with game trails going to them. You can pick up it's within centimeters of accuracy. And you can pick up cliff bands, rock patches. So for bear hunting, it's crazy valuable for bear hunting. You can pick routes, your best route. Like let's say you got real rugged country and you want to pick your best route. You look at the LiDAR, you can see how smooth the ground is or how rocky it is. You can see every crack, you can see every crevice, you can see every sinkhole. It's incredible technology. But up until recently, the resolution quality has not been really good enough for hunters to use. And but now it's getting better and better and better. And Spartan Forge is the first application to make it available as part of their platform. And I suspect that it won't be long before Onyx and the other guys will catch up, or will offer it as well. So there's another tip. Start doing some research on LiDAR. I just spoke at 2 bear tours the past 2 weekends, and one in Boise, one in Missoula, and we spent hours on LiDAR and how to use it for bear hunting. And it's going to be a big, big, big part of my bear hunting course because it is a powerful tool. Have you used it yet?
Oh yeah, remember we talked about it the other day.
Oh yeah, we did talk about it. It's a moneymaker.
Yeah, well, it's like
there's no doubt about it.
We were asking when the others would catch up, and I'm sure they will.
They will. They will. They're probably listening to this podcast right now, going, "Dang, we're behind the curve."
And what you're talking about rifling, I don't want it. I want them to put that in your course. Cause I don't want it to be out there in public, but it does make rifle hunting in certain situations very deadly.
Oh man, I can tell you. Oh my goodness, there's some really good tactical valuations for rifle hunting for that.
Like the view shed and then LiDAR, those two things are ridiculous.
See, that's the thing, Ryan, you just said it. So by itself, okay, right? Let's back up. So LiDAR by itself is not that useful, to be honest.
No, not really. Over
Right.
topo, no.
Right? If you just use only LiDAR and you didn't look at topo and you didn't look at aerial and you didn't make comparisons and you didn't do side-by-side evaluations, it really probably wouldn't wow you that much. But the minute you start to compare it to the USGS scanned topo, the minute you start to look at that on a second screen with Google Earth open in the same area, and then the minute you guys, oh, I hate to pause you guys just for a
You're
second.
fine.
Good.
I'm sorry.
Nope.
Okay, hang on.
Have you ever seen the LiDAR?
No.
It's crazy. It like shows you rocks. It shows you like
Put him on the spot and invite him to haha.
he already did. They're bear hunting. I
Sorry.
invited him and Lampert.
Thought it was the guy, but it's just guy delivering.
It's not the guy. 120.
But it wasn't the guy. It's another guy. So what I'm saying is, you said a very, very, very key aspect is LiDAR is one tool that when combined with the top quality aerial imagery from Google Earth and the really customized contour layers available in CalTopo or in Spartan Forge, and you combine those three, that's when it becomes game changing. By itself may not stand out. It may not be obvious. It may not really jump out at you, but when you learn how to use it in conjunction with the other tools, there's one thing you're going to hear from me over and over again. I sound like a broken record is if you are a one-dimensional Western hunter, bear hunter, elk hunter, whatever, if you're one-dimensional, meaning you use one tool, you have automatically, hands down, no question about it, decreased your odds of success. You have, in my opinion. If you only use one tool in your hunt planning and in the field and just in everything you do, then you are decreasing your odds of success. Now, maybe you're successful with it and maybe you don't need to be any more successful. Great. But I feel like if you invest only in one tool, it's like if you're going to work on your car, are you only going to use a hammer? No, probably not. You're going to have some wrenches and some other things. You might, right? But seriously, guys, I mean, if you get anything out of this podcast, if you spent the last hour and a half with us or whatever, start spreading your wings. Don't buy my course. Don't buy anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just saying, learn how to use some additional tools. And I know hunters in general, when it comes to technology, that's probably a danger zone. They're not as technologically competent as maybe other pursuits, but you really should change it because it's going to make a difference, a big difference in your success. And it's crazy how some of these tools. I always say this too. One other thing I always say is none of these tools fail to do the job, right? None of them complete, like OnX, you can do it, right? But none of them excel at everything. We do not have, as hunters, access to one tool that is the end all yet. Now, maybe someday we will, but as far as I'm concerned, so the bear hunters asked me, how many do I have to have, Mark? Give me the bottom line. What is the minimum that I need? I'm like, in my opinion, you need 7. There are 7 tools that I use all the time, every time, no exception, no question when I'm doing all my hunt planning. Now, I may only spend a few minutes in one of the tools or 2 of the tools, but there are some things that I'm using on those tools that they are exceptional at, that I use them for that function.
Do you want to name them?
Yeah, I'll name them. It's not, I mean, hey, they listen to this podcast. They made it this long. They deserve to get some.
They do.
So obviously I use the hunting apps, guys. I use Go Hunt. Now one of my go-to apps is Gaia GPS. I'm just going to tell you right now. Now I like some of the things in a lot of the other apps, but I use Gaia GPS. I use Go Hunt. I use OnX. I'm starting to use Spartan Forge more and more and more for some things. I use CalTopo. I use Google Earth. And then I use there's a few different things, but I call it one tool. And it's this live satellite layers. They're like Land Viewer. There's Sentinel, Landsat. There's a couple of live satellite imagery sources. I almost always use those. And then I use that NOAH snow evaluation site.
What
I
was
know that's a
Viewshed?
cryptic, but
It's in Google.
Viewshed is part of Google Earth.
Oh, okay.
Well, not really. Now, so Viewshed, see, this is what's interesting. And I'm going to go ahead on this podcast and I'm going to take credit for it. The only reason, I'm going to quote this, the only reason that OnX has Viewshed right now is because of me.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And the only reason that everybody is scrambling to get Viewshed is because of me. I have been talking about Viewshed for 4 years straight.
I don't love it.
Just this
I
last
don't love
year.
it in Onyx.
No, it's not
I
very.
don't
Now,
love it.
what I do love about it
Yeah.
is the ability to drag around and get
Yeah.
it close.
Yeah.
I get it. So here's what I do. This is where the multiple tool thing comes in. I drag around in OnX, get an idea, right? And then I go right to Google Earth, right to the source, right to the original. And I say, okay, it looks like from here I can see this, but then I test it in Google Earth because I feel like that's the most accurate.
Mark, I guess you gotta, one thing you can explain is what is Viewshed?
Okay, so now you're giving away all the secrets. You told me.
Well, just because we've already talked about 3 times, just why it's so fucking valuable. I hate
Just like
fucking
lighter.
putting this out. Go ahead.
Oh man, you're gonna get some hate on this email.
I'm
on
sure
this
we will.
podcast. So Viewshed, guys, is so let me back up. So when they created this function called Viewshed, it certainly was not for Western hunters. I can guarantee you that Google Earth, when they created this tool, did not have Western hunters in mind.
No.
They had landscapes. They had cell phone towers. They had radio towers. They had all these other things in mind. So what Viewshed is, it's the line of sight view, the unobstructed line of sight, 360 degrees from a particular place on Earth at a fixed altitude. That's what the definition is. So, for example, as a hunter, we want to be able to say, what can we see from this glassing spot, 6 feet off the ground, 360 degrees around us? And we can plug that in to Google Earth, and my course teaches you how to do it and do all the settings and everything. That's my plug. And then you can run that tool and it will colorize. It will literally colorize everything you can see from that glassing spot, meaning to the inch, 6 feet off the ground.
Mm.
And it's an eye opener.
And Mark, if people want to go and buy your course, they need to use the code shoot to hunt.
Shoot to hunt. We're setting up a new
Yep.
code. We're entering a new realm. And to celebrate my inaugural and probably the last time ever on your podcast, but to celebrate this inaugural occasion, I'm going to set that code up and it'll get you 20% off if you're listening to the podcast. So yeah, on any of the courses, anything I do.
Nice.
Yep. Don't use that stupid.
I don't think this will be your
code.
last time because we're going to dig in and we're going to get questions from listeners and whatnot. You have to come on again, I'm sure.
Well, here, I was glad you guys wanted to cover a lot of stuff today because what I like to do is I like to do these broad overviews, but what I really like to do is now that you guys get a little taste of it, is to maybe come back at some point if you have me back and really talk about one or two very specific. So people walk away with like, okay, I really, really, really understand LiDAR beginning to end now. Because one of the things that I hate, guys, I mean, Ryan, you and I talked about this. When I started this, I started looking at what everybody was doing in the e-scouting world and I'm not picking on Randy or nobody. There was so much surface level stuff. There was so much like, they kind of gave you some ideas, but they didn't really, they don't really give you everything. And I want everything. I'm a guy, in case you haven't figured it out, I'm a guy that likes to know everything about everything.
Right.
I want to know every little detail. When you say fires and you say elk, I want to know the whys, the winds, the hows, the ages, the edges, the habitat. What if it's a double burn? What if it's a triple burn? What if it's a single burn? How steep the country? If it's steep, is that how many years after do the elk like it? If it's steep, how many years do they like it if it's not as steep? What's the soil I like to look at the soil moisture content in burns. When the soil moisture reaches a certain level, I know that the grass in there is going to be outrageous. And I've never been there before, but I can guarantee you, if you mash up a burn with soil moisture websites, when you go to that place, it's going to be waist deep in grass.
Mm.
But if you don't do that, you're spinning the roulette wheel. You're spinning the burn roulette wheel, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go in here, and you get there, and the moisture, it's dry as a bone. It's dry as a popcorn fart, and the grass is minimal, and the elk really aren't using it.
I really hated your burn
And-
module because it gave away a lot of things that I'd figured out on my own.
Ryan, you become a hater.
Ryan just wants all the information for himself
No, I said,
and nobody else.
fuck, Mark literally gave away things that I figured out on my own, just out there in the general public. Make sure you use the code SHOOTDON when you go to buy the module, when you go to buy the course.
And I know, Mark, Ryan said that you're busy May 4th and 5th this year for the HaHa event, but we got to get you it's going to be an annual event. So next year, we'd love to have you out.
Okay, so what's the dates again?
So this year, it's May 4th and 5th. It's called the Half-Ass Hunting Academy. And everything that you're about, as far as teaching hunters to not be half-ass, everything you're doing is exactly what we're trying to do in bulk.
Ryan said you were busy. He said that for you.
If you're not busy, we would love to have, it's May 4th and 5th. You can have a vendor tent. You can just come hang out.
5th.
Yep.
Hey, if you guys don't mind, let's don't scratch that off just yet, because Ryan and I, we changed some things.
Okay.
We'd love to have you if you could do it.
So Ryan and I we're hunting Prince of Wales this year, and we both drew tags, and
So Friday is the 3rd. So moving in Friday, and then 4th and 5th, we have 5 classes each day. On top of that, there's about 30 confirmed vendors. We got vendors like Outdoorsman's. List them off, Ryan.
Outdoorsman's, we
Revic,
have
Mountain Ops.
Mountain Ops, Wilderness Athlete,
Yeah.
Gunfighter Zane,
man, you got
Genesis
Wilderness
Arms.
Athlete, Mountain Ops in the same building. Is there going to be like a fight?
There could be.
We're gonna put them
There
right
could
next
be.
to each other.
Oh man, that's going to be worse.
My
coming forward
Kool-Aid's
right
better.
there.
No, your fucking Kool-Aid sucks.
Yeah. So classes for hunters to basically we're saying everybody does it half-ass, and we all want to be a little bit better. And it goes right back to what you said is experience days on the ground versus what you can do beforehand. So this is one more tool, the Half-Ass Hunting Academy, where we bring a bunch of experts together, give you the opportunity to learn a bunch of things in one spot. Not to mention mingle with vendors, see new products, all that kind of good shit. But this ain't an arts and crafts fucking fair. You know, a lot like Ryan's Western Hunting Summit. Listen, there ain't no fucking arts and crafts out there, right? This is invite only kind of situation. Experts in the field, that kind of thing. So you're not but you're more than welcome to come.
Well, here's the deal. I will make you this deal. I would love to come to it. I'm
All
going
right.
to try to see if I can do that. But here's what I will do. The people that invest in coming there, I will give them an incredible deal on the stuff that I've got.
Yep.
Just for making the investment to come to you guys' program.
Well, we can put up a poster or something like that with your information if you can't make it out. You know, if you want to do something
we'll
for
do
the.
it. I don't know what why you guys have it in the middle of bear season. What do you guys think?
That's I told Lampers, that's when he said you were definitely going to be busy, because I was like, well, I was going to ask Mark too. And he's like, why the
Unless he's
fuck
got
would you do
something
it in the,
planned for me that
yeah, he's like, why would you do it in the heart of bear season? I was like, well, no time is great ever, right? But it's like, we wanted it outside, so it's not necessarily going to be hot or cold, but it'd probably be raining. So it's kind of like the first annual, we might move it back a couple weeks either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's fine. I'm just kidding. Let's be honest. The volume of bear hunters, if you're going to pick a time, let's go with the elk, and let's go with the fall hunters more than the spring hunters, because it's just the market is quadruple.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And the bear season is such a wide season, depending. I mean, it can be it's the middle of April to the middle of June, basically. Right? It's a pretty wide area
This
there.
year, hell, the bear season, they might as well open them right now. Their bears are out everywhere in Montana. They say, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got 2 texts the last couple of days, people seeing bears.
We're doing so we partnered up with an outfitter there, Absorki. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
It's Absoroka is how it's spelled, but it's Absorki.
Beartooth Wilderness Outfitter.
Yeah. So we're doing 3 days of shooting school, and then right after that, you get 3 days of bear hunting, all in the same kind of event.
Yeah.
So we got that April 22nd to April 28th. We only got one slot left, but if you're listening,
It's over
one
in
slot
Big
left.
See,
Big Timber, Montana.
Big Timber. So
Yeah.
where is this? Where's the May event held at?
That's at where we're at right now, Post Falls, Idaho.
Okay.
Exit 2
Okay.
if you're coming across. Yeah. Where are you? You're in Missoula? Yeah, it's not that bad. And hey, when you come, that kind of gives us, that's about 6 weeks from now. So we could kind of revisit and do a live in-person podcast with you in the room. There's a whole wall of bourbons. If you're a bourbon guy, nobody ever drinks it. Somebody has to.
Before you shut my video off.
Oh, yeah,
I think
yeah.
Ryan, when he started filming it, he knew I could see behind him, so he shut it off.
Nice.
Yeah. Dude, me and Mark, we had some drinks down at the local Capone's. And
Oh, nice.
we went deep, talked about a lot of shit.
There you go. Well, there's a bunch of bourbons here that nobody wants to drink, and there's some
Was
good
that the
shit.
place that we came to Coeur d'Alene and met you and your wife?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Was that the name of the place? I forgot.
Capone's. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Good little
That was
place.
good.
But no, and then we want to send you some. We're gonna send you some panniers, test out.
Yeah.
What saddles do you use?
I'm using Bose.
Okay, it'll fit.
Aluminum crossbuck. The crossbuck.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. It'll give us some
We're
feedback.
We're basically making the panniers to fit almost every
The universal.
saddle that's available on the market today.
Well, dude, there's just no source for that stuff. If you guys are even marginally good at what you're doing, they're going to be.
Well,
All that
I like to think we are. You tell us if we're fucked up and we can adjust.
I'm a truth speaker. So Ryan, you're not known for your shying away from the truth either. So, I just ran off those apps. I'm probably going to get my ass chewed for reading that list of apps I just read off.
Yeah.
But that's the way it goes, guys.
I remember.
I'm always going to tell you the facts, and at least the best I can, at least the way I see them. Now, I'm not saying they're the best way. I'm just going to say it's my way.
Yeah.
And
well, we should see a final prototype pretty quick, and then we're going to get a set of bags and multiple sets of bags to send out for testing. And we were not planning on coming to market until they've been tested thoroughly with you guys. So
yeah, I'll send them to you, and then I'll make Lampers pay double for the goat pack.
There you go.
Don't send it. Let me tell you this. If Lampers gets those before me, you guys are in deep shit.
Well, I can assure you we're going to have the llama ones first, so you will be first.
Yeah.
Because Lampers always like, hey, did you get the new Montana Knife Company knife? No, I did not.
Yeah.
Hey, did you get the new boots from Chris? Did you get this? Did you get that? I'm like, no. Did you? Hey, did Meat send you the new double grinder yet?
Hey, now you're going to be able to say, hey, Ryan, did you get those new prototype pannier bags from Shoot to Hunt guys? Oh, no, I didn't.
I'm even with Peaks, guys, I am the last dude to get anything.
Yeah.
And I'm the most important one. I don't know why. It works that way.
I feel like you need to be the squeaky wheel.
I know why you and Ryan Avery get along so well, that he believes he's the most important guy too.
Undervalued and fucking over deliver every time, right?
Oh, that's right. Exactly. Man, Ryan, I do.
Oh yeah.
A serious question. Do you think that Google Earth will ever put LiDAR in?
No. Now, what they're going to do, which is really going to tick me off, they're going to put it in the web-based platform, though.
Mm-hmm. I had a feeling you're going to say that.
Right now I'm working on, and I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag too much, but my toolkits will work on web platform. I haven't got the code cracked yet, the Da Vinci code. I haven't cracked it fully, but so if you look at, now I know you've done this, Ryan, but I just showed it that the guys are like, well, Google Earth's great. I said, but it's not the best imagery, right? You realize that, right? There's still one more level better, and it's Google Earth browser.
Mm-hmm.
Their images, now not in every area, guys. If you're listening, this is the last tip I'll tell you, and this is a money tip. If you use Google Earth, meaning go to googleearth.com and access Google Earth that way, sometimes the imagery in there is even remarkably better than even what's in Google Earth Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another tip. Guys, I have found one more level of quality sometimes in the map app on the phone. For some reason, their satellite views are even more recent and even better quality in some areas than even Google Earth web-based.
It seems like Google just updates certain parts. Some parts of it get the updates a lot faster than the rest of them do.
Well, they just don't invest much anymore in Google Earth Pro. There's a lot of people that still use it in the engineering world and the in real estate and all these. They use it a lot still, so they still maintain it, but it's not their flagship product anymore.
So for a new guy just starting out, should he really be getting himself used to the GoogleEarth.com rather than the application itself?
No. You got to use Google Earth Pro for all the tools. There's no view shed, there's no route profiles, there's no elevation exaggeration, the web platform is only good right now for looking at verifying an image. Like if you're looking at a spot and you just want to get one more look to see, like if you're looking at a water hole and you just can't quite, then I would jump over there and take a look. So here's one more tip. I'm going to give one more tip. I know we probably got to go. So guys, if you're hunting in an area that has cell service, okay, you should always make sure you have Google Earth Pro app on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
The Google Earth imagery in that app is phenomenal. And now you've got it in the field. You can look at the best quality aerial imagery available on planet Earth in the backcountry if you have cell service. But you guys know how many places are we going now that have cell service? More and more and more, right?
Yeah.
So guys, do not underestimate that tool. While you're on the hunt, if you have cell service in your area. So
nice.
All right. Last question about this. I heard somewhere, and maybe I was just bullshit, but is Google Earth Pro or Google Earth, the browser, are they doing any augmentation with UAV?
I don't know.
Like Spartan Forge kind of does. I know you've messed around with that.
What is UAV?
Like drones.
It's plain
Oh.
generated imagery versus satellite.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with UHV is it's really expensive imagery because they got to use gas to get it. They're not using rotational, satellites. And the problem with it is there's no incentive for them to take pictures of the freaking Frank Church or the Bob Marshall or the freaking whatever, right? So we're never going to have, I don't know if we're never, but the odds of us having UHV imagery for all of our hunting areas is low. I think. Now I may be wrong. There may be reasons to do it that I'm not foreseeing. But now what I do know you can do is there's more and more of these pay sites popping up that you can buy aerial imagery of. For example, if you've got a hunt area and you really you think it's you're all in on it, it's one of your top 5 or whatever, I'm not so sure that I wouldn't invest in buying the latest shot from that area. It's not that expensive anymore. Now, these are satellite shots, but the quality is incredible. And it's current. It's like days current. So, and there's a lot of good reasons to have it. Like you could see the green texture. You could see what's really bright green. Maybe it's got more moisture. With your bear hunting, you could see where the snow line is. If there's a lot of reasons to use this live, high quality aerial imagery, but there's not a good source for it that's free that I found. Now there's a lot of free live aerial imagery out there, but the quality is downgraded. They do it on purpose, right? I guess they don't want you spying on your girlfriends, or I don't know why they take the quality down. Now, the quality is good enough to see snow in most cases and things like that, but it's not good enough to see burn. Like if you're evaluating an area for deadfall or it's an old burn and you're not sure how much timber's on the ground, doesn't look great. You want to look at the trail, like how much is across the trail, how much is not. Man, that recent imagery could be money for you. So I'm not trying to get you to spend money that you don't want to spend, but it is one more tool in your toolbox that you should probably have at your disposal if you feel like you want to get a little more dialed on a particular hunt area. Guys, if you're going to Wyoming to hunt elk on the special tag this year, you just spent $2,000. If a $20 aerial imagery might be worth the investment.
Yes.
I'm just saying, and the quality is exceptionally good, really, really good. And far beyond what even Google Earth is at this point. But the key of it is it's a fixed in time recent, like within the last week or two image, which is good.
Mm.
I'm gonna really fire you up here, put you on the spot. I gotta buy your e-scouting for elk course, and I can only afford one mapping software. What is it?
You mean for in the field?
Yep.
Dude,
Fucking
no, you know how I'm going to answer it? I'm going to answer it like I always answer it.
political, probably.
No, it's not. It's
All
not.
right. All right.
You're an idiot. Here's the thing, guys. In my opinion, you are not a smart Western hunter if you go into the field with one app.
Hmm.
I have not been on a hunt in the past 10 years that I am not running two apps. Meaning I have offline maps downloaded in two different platforms. And everybody's like, why? Why? Well, one, do you guys know how often that stuff breaks?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing worse. There is nothing worse hiking your ass in 10 miles, turning on your topo map, and you got no topo map.
Been there.
Because for some reason, the aerial imagery is working, but the topo base map's not working. Guys, it's happened to us multiple times.
Mm.
But what do? I just pull out my Gaia or pull up my Go Hunt or pull up my secondary, and I've got a backup. But here's what a lot of people don't realize is all of these hunting apps, all of them, not one of them, all of them, buy their aerial imagery from different sources. What's your biggest pet peeve about Onyx aerial imagery? Well, let me tell you mine. When you open it up and it's got the freaking snow on it.
Yeah. Base map fucking does that a lot too.
What's that?
Base map fucking does that a lot.
Base map, exactly.
Yes.
So why? You know why? Because they don't want to, I hate to say this, they're going to get mad when they hear this, but they don't want to spend the money on updated imagery, and they don't want to have two different sources. So they just accept it. But guys, when you're hunting unit, whatever, and you pull it up and it's covered in snow, that image is useless for the most part. Right?
It is.
Well, if you're running a backup app, you got a different image, and it's a 99.9% chance that it doesn't have snow.
Yeah.
And so having backup apps, I showed a demo this last weekend of how critical and how much different. And I even threw Gaia GPS is one of my favorites, guys. I'm just going to be honest with you. And I had to throw him under the bus in this scenario. This is one of my favorite apps, but I found a bear hunting area that is so badass. But when I pull it up in Gaia, it's tree covered. It's a burn from 13 years ago that burned a second time. It burned 13 years ago and it burned 7 years ago. And if you pull it up in Gaia, it's completely green pine trees. That image is over 20 years old in that platform. And when I pull up on X, it's barely burned. You can barely see the black, like it just happened. So it's a 13-year-old image at least. When I pull it up in Go Hunt, the ground is clear. There's not a stick on the ground. You can see the ground. And I'm like, holy crap, this looks amazing for bears. If you would have used Gaia, you would have never gone. If you would have used OnX only, you would have never found this place. The only reason I found it is because I looked at the third platform of Go Hunt. Go Hunt, to be totally honest with you, has some of the best aerial imagery of all the apps. It's hard to believe, but they do. Almost every time, they've got the most recent image of all the apps. And then that caused me to pull up my old faithful Google Earth and verify it. And sure as shit, when I pull up my hunt layers, my fire layers, I found out it was a double burn. Well, could I find out that it was a double burn in Gaia? No, because they only go 13 years old fires. So it wouldn't have picked up the first fire. If I would have pulled up on X, it would have only picked up one fire because they only go back 10 years. If I'd have pulled up Go Hunt, they only go 12 years. So they wouldn't have showed me the second fire. But my toolkits in Google Earth, I have 40 years of fires in it. So I was able to pick up that double burn. And when I picked up that double burn, I was like a dog with a bone. I'm like, holy crap, this could be good. I start looking, I get some live aerial imagery. I start looking at it. I'm like, this is ground cleared. And I knew if we hiked in there, we are going to be able to see the world from this spot. And there's going to be bears all over that place. Sure as shit, we killed multiple bears in that spot. But my moral to the story is 2 apps, you would have never even bothered to look at it because there was no view. It was timber.
So, well,
You
since
guys
you
get what I'm saying
yeah,
now, right?
yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
since you skirted my question, let me ask it a different way.
Ah,
Which app do you spend the most time in?
in the field.
I'll admit,
In the
diet.
field. Yeah, that's all I wanted you to say.
And now you're probably going to give me fired. But
Hey, the truth's the truth.
it's, guys, now I just gave you an example of Gaia letting me down, right?
Mm.
And Gaia
Guys,
is very confusing. There's so fucking many layers. Remember the historical thing I kept asking you? Yeah, and you had to show me where the layer was. Yeah.
It's the most complicated to use, but you guys, hey, it's like, here's the thing. If you're going to install a scope on your gun, are you going to use an Allen wrench? Or are you going to use a torque wrench?
Mm-hmm.
The torque wrench is a little more complicated. You got to set up the torque to get it perfect, right? What is it, 40, whatever, you know what I'm saying, right?
Mm.
You're using a very precise tightening tool other than just some wrench with your big old meaty hands, and you're just cranking it down, and every bolt is tightened differently. I'm assuming, I'm not a gun guy, but I don't think that's a good idea, right?
No, definitely not.
You want them at the same torque, right? So that tool is a little more complicated. It's not that much. It's not a very good example because it's not that complicated, but Gaia's kind of like that in the hunting app world. It's got incredible power, but it's also got a bigger learning curve. So I wouldn't say for people that are challenged with technology at all, like they can't even turn their computer on, I wouldn't start with that app. But it certainly would be on my list for my toolbox. And but guys, seriously, I know I kind of quickly went over that, but I cannot recommend enough on every hunt that you do that you're running 2 apps with 2 sets of offline maps downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
It will save your ass so many times and give you multiple aerial views, and in some cases, multiple topographic views, to give you better ways to evaluate terrain when you're on the field in the backcountry.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you more flexibility and more power in the backcountry, and it gives you peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you're kind of covered. And I spent a lot of time on that in the courses on how to make sure your backups are working, do some pre-testing before you go, all the things. I've even incorporated into my hunt planning template now where I record the date and the time that I do those tests and verification. Because guys, I've been hunting for 35 years. I still follow that hunt plan template because I do not want mistakes. Well, number one, if Lampers is relying on me to pick a spot, I better not screw it up or I'm never going to hear the end of it, right? It better be what it should better be what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Now, I can't always say there's, bears or not bears there. He doesn't usually give me too much trouble on that. But what he will give me trouble for, if I miss the snow line and we get there and we're freaking post-holing when we're supposed to not be post-holing.
Be like, you're the fucking E-Scout. You're the fucking E-Scouting guy. You can't get this shit right.
I can already hear it, right? I can already hear it at camp. Liveasay. I mean, you're supposed to be the guy. What we got you here for anyway? What do we even got you here for?
Yeah, I got my own goats now. I don't need these damn llamas.
Oh, that's what he's getting cockier now. He throws me under the bus a lot more nowadays than he used to.
Well, I'll have to say, Mark, you're our first 2-hour podcast, so we better let you go. But first, where can people find your product? It was great.
I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that if you guys listen to this long, if you're still listening, I hope you got a I hope you guys got a few things out of it. And so
I'm sure they did.
All of my stuff, guys. If you want
I
to read about what I have available and the different courses and what they do and what they don't do, I've tried to organize it the best I could. It's on treelineacademy.net. And guys, if you don't want to buy anything I've got, you want to listen to every podcast I've been on, I've got them all organized in chronological order on my website as well. So if you just go to the podcast link, as soon as this one gets posted, I'll have it at the top. And so, because you know how hard it is to find stuff after it's been out for a while.
Yes.
So I've tried to organize it. And I've tried to do the titles so that if you're looking for bear podcasts, they're there. If you're looking for elk, they're there. And if you're looking for e-scouting, they're there. And I hope that helps you guys get a little more dialed with content if that's what you're looking for.
And when does the bear
treelineacademy.net.
When does the bear one come out?
Oh God, I've been saying that for 2 years. I said I promised it last year and it didn't happen. I promised it this year and it's not going to happen. It's going to be ready by this year. It'll be ready for next spring. But I am working on a temporary like a mini course, like a little intro course. So I told you, we just did these bear tours.
Mm-hmm.
They were incredible. They really turned out so amazing. 2 days of just intense bear hunting, and we recorded the whole thing. So I'm hoping that recording works out good and we can have that as a little mini course. And then when the course comes out, you can apply what you paid for the mini to that so that you don't really lose anything. It's a win-win. And, but it could potentially be something that might be available, this spring. So we'll see. I haven't got my hands on the recording yet. They're sending them to me on a hard drive, and we'll see how the quality was and how it turned out. But, I'm hoping that, and if all of it didn't turn out, then definitely part of that stuff will be like, for example, man, Ryan, I have to give him credit again. God, I hate to give him credit, but he did a fantastic job on the gear for bear hunting. 2 hours he spent, which I've never seen Ryan talk for 2 hours. And I have no problem talking for 2 hours since we've been on the podcast for 2 hours. But Ryan spent 2 hours on evaluating every single nook and cranny of his bear gear. Best job I've ever seen him do on gear. And he always is pretty good with gear. But anyway, that alone is going to be a gem. And he did a really good job, and they recorded it, and I hope it's going to be as good as I think it's going to be.
Nice.
Well, should we do a speak pipe or let her roll?
Let her roll.
Yeah. So
hey, man,
we didn't even cover carnivore. Fuck, I forgot about that. We'll get that next time.
More for next hitter.
We'll do that next time, and we'll see if you can actually hang in there or not.
There you go.
One of us is still in, and
check on your May 4th and 5th. Let us know.
One of us is still in. It's not Jake. One of us is still in. It's not Jake. He's got the gout, so he's out with the gout.
That's his excuse.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So
I mean, what's a little gout between friends?
That's what I said.
It's either walk or don't walk.
A little bit of meat.
That's the fucking difference.
Little meat takes him down.
Oh man, I'm not envious of you, brother, with that. That's not a fun.
No. It was day 21 that it hit it hit worse than the first time, which is saying something. So.
All right. So the code shoot hunt will be in by the time they listen to this, probably next week.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah. Next week, Tuesday.
Yep.
Well, guys, thanks for having me. Seriously. It was a good time. I had a great time.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Mark, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys.